Hey, it's Professor Gould. In this series of lectures, we're going to talk about the cell life cycle and mitosis. We're going to end up with mitosis, but we have a lot to do before we get there because cells just can't go around willy-nilly chopping themselves in half. Got to be organized about it. So we're going to start off with talking about the chromosomes because really that's the most important part of all of this. Also, it's the part we know the best. All right, so just to orient yourself, here's our cell. Yeah, big old nucleus in the middle. Inside that nucleus, there are these little strandy, twisty things. Those are the chromosomes, okay? And if we take all the chromosomes out of one cell and we dye them, we see them looking like this, okay? Now, this shape that they're in is actually not the normal way that chromosomes are organized. They're only like this for mitosis. And this is called the metaphase chromosome. Actually, we usually talk about it as the condensed form. This is only seen during mitosis. And in fact, we can only see the chromosomes during mitosis because before mitosis, when the cell is just, going along doing its life, it needs to be able to access the DNA because the DNA is instructions for how to make everything. So the DNA has to be more loosely organized. It's still really, really organized. So it's organized into something we call heterochromatin. Chromatin is the DNA and all of the proteins that organize it and fold it up and stuff like that. The chromatin is folded and twisted, and then each of those twists is also made up of loops called radial loops or radial loop domains. And then these are the things I need you to know. Those radial loop domains are made up of these little structures that kind of look like beads on a string. And if you see them in an electron micrograph, it actually looks like beads on a string. Each of these little bead things is called a nucleosome. Now, nucleo in the nucleus, some, and this is really important. We've talked about some before, or soma. It's going to keep coming up. Every time you see the word part some or soma, it means body, okay? So a nucleosome is a little body structure in the nucleus or in the nuclear DNA. So that's going to help you remember what these little things are called, hopefully. Each of these nucleosomes is a DNA, this is all the double helix of DNA wrapped around proteins, and those proteins are called histones. And this is what that all looks like up close. So we have 8 histone proteins bound together in a really specific way with DNA wrapped around it, and it takes about 146 or 147 base pairs of DNA to do this little twisty around the histones. 8 proteins, 146 to 147. Wow, I really did that, huh? Okay, I'll fix that. And that whole thing, this is a nucleosome, and this is a nucleosome. Okay, these are really tiny, 10 nanometers. Yeah, it's a millionth of a meter. This is really tiny. All right, and then, of course, all of this is the DNA double helix. So when your cells are going about their normal life, doing their normal cell things, the DNA is organized like this, so that parts of the double helix that need to be read by RNA polymerase to transcribe the DNA into RNA so that proteins can be made, those parts are accessible. Once we get ready to do mitosis, they condense. And when they're condensed, we can actually isolate them from a cell, stain them in different colors, and take a picture of all of them, organize them and take a picture. And this is called a karyotype. A karyotype is an image of all the chromosomes in a single cell. This is a human cell, and humans have 23 pairs of chromosomes, numbered 1 through 22, and then the XY. This is from a human female, so there are 2 X chromosomes. If this were from a human male, there would be 1 X, and then the Y is a little tiny little chromosome. Okay, so that's a karyotype, and we can only do a karyotype when the cell is in the process of doing mitosis so that the chromosomes are all nicely condensed like this so we can see them. All right. Most animal and plant cells are what we call diploid. We'll come back to that term. Don't worry about it. They have 2 of each chromosomes, and each pair of chromosomes are called homologous chromosomes. So there are 2 number ones. They are homologous, meaning that they each carry the same genes. So if there's a gene for eye color, there's going to be 1 copy of it here and 1 copy of it here. Those copies may not be exactly the same. Okay, those are alleles. Again, we'll come back to this when we do a little more genetics next week. Cool. So we're going to do homologous chromosomes 1, 2, 1, and another. These are both number 1. These are both chromosome number 2. They are homologous. Homo means same. So these are the same chromosome carrying the same gene. Like I said, humans have 23 pairs. So we have a total of 46 chromosomes in our somatic cells, meaning not the sperm or the egg, just the regular cells in your body. Lots of different organisms have different numbers of chromosomes from 2 to thousands. Okay? And if you're thinking, oh, those must be really big things that have thousands of chromosomes. They're not. We'll get back to that. It's complicated. All right, so that's how we organize the DNA. Up next, we're going to talk about the parts of the cell life cycle.